because you got it. You know, that's it. What you gonna do with it? What action you gonna put behind it?
Right.
And people think I'm hard on people about that. No, I'm not shitting on you for doing that. I'm saying you got a small victory, you got your LLC, but it's a million people got their LLC and ain't do nothing else afterwards.
Peace, family. Will Roundtree here on the Full-Time CEO podcast, the shit they don't tell you, where we get to interview entrepreneurs, moguls, legends, influential individuals in their respective industry. But more importantly, today I'm excited because we're sitting here with a very special guest. As I often say, all my guests are special. We're sitting here with the gentleman who has actually transformed the tax strategy industry. I mean, he's helped a lot of people. I'm pretty sure he's helped one of your favorite entertainers. But more importantly, what I respect about my guest today is that he loves to teach and educate people. And as we both echo, when you understand credit and taxes, you will always be able to get access to money. This gentleman's been in this industry for a very long time. He does very well for himself financially. So, and he's travels the country. I mean, he does a lot of different things. He's one of the very few people who you can call him in the middle of tax season. He's on the island somewhere. That means he knows how to leverage his time and he knows a little bit about making some money and helping people. So I want you guys to welcome my good friend, my brother and partner, Brian Joubert. How you doing, man?
I'm well, brother. I'm well. Life is good, man.
Oh, I can
Life is
imagine.
good.
I'm pretty sure you just came from an island somewhere.
Not just, maybe about 5 days ago.
That's just for most people.
Yeah, maybe 5 days ago.
Definitely, man. So first of all, man, thank you for coming out here and doing this podcast. I'm extremely excited because we talk to a lot of people in different industries. You're one of those industries people scared to talk about.
Yeah, which is a gift and a curse. It's a gift because the things that people are scared about, if you're proficient in it, that means that they're gonna run everything to you. Absolutely. And life is gonna be good for me, And so, and the thing about it too, though, Will, I try to educate people with it because I don't want you to be scared of it. Things that you're scared of, you can't master. And if you ain't mastering nothing, then how you really move into the levels that you say you want to live?
Hey, it's really that simple.
Yeah. So
but we're gonna definitely jump into that. I don't want to have people jumping the gun too soon. So first of all, explain who is Brian? Where'd you come from? How'd you get into this industry and all that good stuff?
Yeah, like they say, everybody have a story. Everybody have a story, And I was blessed, man. I was blessed to basically be at the wrong place at the right time. And I'm a cat from New Orleans, Louisiana, one of the worst areas in New Orleans, which is Holly Grove. Okay. And so, I came up in the streets, man. And I ain't gonna say I'm a gangster.
Right.
It's just when you're in certain environments, basically you get into certain things. You're a product of that. But the thing about it is it taught me how to be a hustler, how to maneuver, how to survive. So if I was to say who Brian is, Brian's basically that dude that knew how to make shit happen. But the thing about it is I've always kept that demeanor about me where I'm gonna make sure if it's happening for me, it's gonna happen for you.
Right.
And so I'm very humble in a sense in that thing. I'm a giver, I'm an educator, but then I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a success, and so that's how I normally describe myself.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
No, you said something that's interesting, like being a product of your environment. And a lot of us have come from similar backgrounds and similar walks of life. What do you say to those who utilize that as an excuse on why they can't change their circumstance?
Yeah, I run into this all the time, and I tell cats, man, you got to basically look within you. You got to look deeper. And if you say that if everything that you took that was negative, look at yourself and say, if I just flip this to a positive, what could I be? And it works with a lot of cats that I've talked to because they say, man, know what, I've done a lot. And so what I try to get people like that to do is look into yourself.
Right.
And see all of the things that you've done for Rome, but look at how you had a schedule for it.
Right.
You had a plan for it. And a lot of times you don't realize that you are more than what you was.
That's
You know,
true.
and so what I do is try to get you to realize that. And so I always tell people, man, just take a deep look into, what you've accomplished, on the negative side and see how that factor in to a positive because you have it, it's within you,
Definitely. Definitely.
and so that's all we have to do is really just transform our thinking,
Mhm.
and some gonna get it, some not,
Right.
but again, surround yourself with people, man, because you never know what other people have been through. And so this is what I give to a lot of cats. Surround yourself with positive people, and all of that you did before, you'll realize how much of a benefit it was
Right.
than a curse.
Speaking of thinking, and I have this quote: "When you change your thinking, that's when you'll become successful." And we hear all these cliches, your mindset thinking, and being around your networks, your net worth, and all of that stuff. I'm sure you still have some partners from back in the day who, no matter what you tell them, no matter how many islands they've seen you on and how many offices you've opened up across the country, they still just don't get it. So, is it a scenario where you just kind of like let them stay in their place? Do you still try to give them some words of encouragement? How do you deal with those things?
Well, you gotta give it a try. Like, at some point you gotta cut grown folks off.
Very
And
true.
so with my cats, man, and it ain't too many of my cats that I came up with, they're gonna tell you that I didn't throw the rope. Because I have a term say throw the rope. When you get successful, throw the rope down to pull somebody else up. But ain't nobody gonna say that, well, I try to get help, he ain't help me. My thing is I'm a throw the rope. If you don't decide to hold on to help me pull you up, then I gotta let you go at some point because it
Right.
ain't meant for everybody.
Right.
This is what I used to believe that everybody. I used to always say this with my partners. I say, man, we are cut from the same cloth, but sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really not cut from the same cloth. So sometimes you gotta let it go. And yeah, but I'm gonna try to pull, as many cats that want to be pulled up. But it ain't for everybody.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree because then you also have people with the mindset of, well, these are my day one.
Yeah.
How do I gotta take care of my day ones? Like, do you think that it's your responsibility to ensure everybody around you is supposed to be where you're at or close to?
No, I always say it's your responsibility to make an effort. So if that's your day ones, I'm gonna make an effort to say, bro, let's rock, let's roll.
All right.
But you ain't getting no free ride. That's the thing. So
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
part.
it's an effort to say because if you my dog, and part of the reason is who I am is because how we rocked, then I'm somewhat obligated because you was part of where how I got here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the effort, but it ain't basically for me to keep pushing you, to sell you, to beg you to
Right.
basically want better for you.
Right.
So this is why we have levels, and I tell people, and it's okay. This is what we got to understand. It's okay because in elementary school, you had a friend in elementary school. You like, this is my best friend. We're gonna be friends forever.
Forever, right.
You got the junior high. You
Mhm.
you got a whole nother best friend. Oh man, we gonna kick it to college.
Right.
Got the high school. He was forgotten about. You got a high school friend. Yeah, we've been solid. We gonna kick this and we gonna do this. In college, you got a whole new set of friends. It's levels to this,
Definitely.
and it's okay because everybody's not meant to go with you. No, don't matter if it was an A1 because it was your friend from A1 day one, but it ain't basically your elevation from day one. And we got to understand it, and that's okay.
Right.
And we got to understand that my one of my best homies right now, he's really not business minded, but he's my dog. So I understand where his place is.
Mhm.
That's the other thing that we got to understand that, everybody ain't going to go with you on the business
That's
tip.
very true.
It's cats that I'm going to talk women in football with all day. if I talk business, they're going to go back to football.
It's a whole
They're
different.
going to go back to
Yeah,
football.
definitely.
So, you got to know what people places are. So you don't always have to cut everybody off, but understand everybody ain't, meant to go with you
Right.
everywhere.
Just got to know how to keep them in a place where it's safe for you two to still be friends.
Yeah,
Like you
as
say.
long as there ain't nobody trying to bring you down and the negativity. And I think that's the problem is when people trying to carry people that really basically are a detriment to them. I'm trying to climb, you trying to pull me.
Right.
That's when the problem.
No.
So.
Oh, 100%, man. And all of that makes so much sense. And I know, I have a lot of people that I still connected with from high school to back to my hometown. And you want to help everybody, man. It's just like, but you can only do so much. And like you say, all we can do is drop the rope.
That's
Whoever grabs it, as long as you grab the rope, I'll give you the step by step on how to get to where you got to go. But you got to still continue to execute.
all day, all day. You're only one person. You're only one
And it's
person.
draining sometimes.
Yeah,
being
and
just
that's
that
what
one
happened to a lot
person.
of people. You know,
Right.
they get drained trying to save everybody.
Right.
To be honest with you, everybody don't want to be saved.
That is very true, man.
Everybody don't want to be saved, man. Some people basically their comfort is in their comfort zone, and their comfort zone ain't your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So don't expect everybody to want to be where you are.
100%.
You know, some people don't want the responsibility of keeping up with once they acquire
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just got to know, you got to throw that rope, and if they grab, you pull, you help.
Definitely.
If they don't, then all right,
That's on them.
that's on
That's
them.
on them. So let's pivot the table a little bit and talk about just Brian, the businessman and the entrepreneur. I know you have a business and you have multiple offices and locations, but before we even get to that part, like, where did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit? Because I know us growing up, and just from our dealings and resources and friends who are in the streets, who learn to hustle. A lot of times that translates very well when you are able to direct that energy into being an actual businessman. So, were you always an entrepreneur? Did you have entrepreneurial aspects? How did that even come about?
Yeah, well, I always say, you know, my people, my parents gave me great lessons, but I was probably raised by the streets.
Okay.
And again, you know, I'm not gonna sit there and glorify and say I was gangster. Just the environment taught you how to survive, which that's what you need as an entrepreneur. So with that being said, I never really worked. The longest I've ever worked a full-time job was 11 months. You know, the longest I've ever worked was 11 months. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old. I had a shoe shine stand inside the Omni Hotel. So I've always done something to make money. You know, and so I guess it was just in me to be an entrepreneur. And when you start talking about having that much experience from 13, never really working a job, you know, so if you use all that experience for the right thing, you're going to be where I'm at now from a success standpoint. I never had a work mentality because I could never understand somebody dictating my time and schedule. You know, and I always say the problem I had with work is, what if we go to lunch, man? We vibing. I got to cut that short to go back to work. You know, like I enjoyed partying. We hung out. You know, I don't want to go to work every day at 8.
Right.
I don't want to wake up every day at 7 o'clock to be there at 8. If we hung, we ain't get into 5. I couldn't understand that concept. So I knew I wasn't going to be a long time worker. You know, and so I was blessed, you know, to basically be able to sustain and had a hustle mentality from shooting pool to betting, dice, or whatever it is. You know, basically, I'm gonna make money. I've always had a situation where I'm gonna get money. You know, and so I just learned now to take a hustle to a business. You know, and that's what helped me manifest when I learned that aspect.
Right. Now, something interesting that you said with a lot of things you're saying is interesting. But just starting off at 13, having that entrepreneurial spirit, and the first thing that came to my mind is that you didn't get jaded by trading time for dollars. And I think that's the hard transition for most people who start off in corporate America, because like in business, you could work 3 months and may not make your rent, you know? And so I think that's the hardest part for people. And I know you dealt with a lot of people looking to get into entrepreneurship. What would you say are some of those early lessons that's been very hard for people to fathom? And they be like, man, this entrepreneurship is not for me. What are some of the things that you've seen that deter people?
Instant gratification is number one. Instant gratification. We want to do something today and be paid for it 2 hours later. You know, and that's the thing, is that instant gratification, when people don't see you work a whole week and you may not get paid, because a part of entrepreneurship is planning and positioning and all these things. That's part of your growth. But at the end of the week, I ain't getting no check for it. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for people, is the fact that, you know, they ain't gonna get paid right away. The other part is most people they need somebody to tell them what to do.
That is true.
Most people are not self-starters.
That's very true.
You know, and so the thing is that they get bored easily because they don't know what to do next. So, because ain't nobody saying, well, when you finish that, you know, I need you to do this. When you finish that, then you got to do this. And so you got a list when you're on a 9 to 5. You got projects that you got to do. So, but as an entrepreneur, nobody's telling me what to do.
You got to figure it out.
So I got to figure it out. And
right.
we are not a figure out people. You know, we don't want to have to figure it out. Either we got to know or somebody got to tell us. You know, and so that deter a lot of people away. You know, And I would just say, even really understanding the amount of work that comes into it. When you talk about putting in hours, like when people tell me, even now, man, I did about 12 hours straight today. Like, well, like that's what people doing in corporate America now to try to make it. So if you saying you got to do twice as much to get as much, on your own, and they doing that as a norm now in corporate America, you need to be doing 18.
Right.
And you need to be doing 18, maybe 2 or 3 days out the week. And so I don't think people understand the commitment, but when they find out the commitment that it takes to be, that kind of deter people.
Right.
And so I think those are the three things: that instant gratification, commitment. They just ain't ready for that.
Right. Are you seeing, and this is one of my observations, and you've been on the road, traveled the world doing speaking engagements. You and I have been on the road together. Are you seeing that more of the younger people are getting it sooner? Because one of the things that I notice sometimes with some of my older clients, or a lot of my older individuals who want to change their life and go into entrepreneurship, it's really hard for them to change that concept of exchanging time for dollars. But this younger generation, they're like, look, what do I got to do? Like, are you seeing that's the kind of the shift that you're seeing?
Oh man, too? No doubt. I had a staff meeting last night, and I looked. I didn't even tell them that, but I looked because I've been saying I've been ahead of the curve probably before most people, where I'm looking to hire more millennials, because millennials in the next 5 years is going to be the biggest population. Then, basically understanding that not Hispanic, but Spanish speaking people are going to take over as the majority. So even learning Spanish. So I'm getting my young people, this is how I'm building my team now with young people, because they get it. Because see, they not subject, when I was coming up, the whole 6-figure thing. Young people ask you now, 6 figures a month, how much you talking about? Because they coming up in a time where they seeing young people in their age and their demographic making $1 million, $5 million. So they don't know that whole concept of 6 figures.
No,
so this is why they not programmed in the same way. And I use my daughter for an example. My daughter basically never seen her parents work a job. My daughter never seen her parents have nothing but luxury vehicles. My daughter don't know nothing about her parents but traveling the world. So how can you basically resort back to nothing if your mind has been stretched to seeing that already? So, but I'm not the only person out here. There's a million other Brians out here that parents came up as entrepreneurs, and their children are starting to see this. So the children are programmed differently. See, we were programmed, again, go to college, get a good job, and work for 40 hours for 40 years.
I couldn't do that.
And it was programming.
It was.
And this is what we was taught. So this is what we knew. They taught, don't work for nobody, control your own destiny. And so now you see this shift with entrepreneurs. I always say they have 1 million resources, they just don't have guidance. If you give young people now guidance with the resources they have, they'd be unstoppable.
It'll be a game changer.
Yeah, they'd be unstoppable.
And I see that a lot too, even at my events, as they reach out to me, like they're just hungry, and it's a different level of intensity. Like you mentioned, the older generation, their whole apex was, I want to make 100,000 a year. But then once I start making that, like probably when I was early 30s, I'm like, that's not a lot of money when you have a kid, a wife, bills. Like even that as a single man, 100,000 a year is not a lot because of taxation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Which we'll get into that. And so even when I sit down with people and I'm helping them with their goals, and they say my goal is 6 figures, I'm like, a month, right? And it scares people.
Yeah.
Because they can't fathom it. But when I'm sitting down with these younger, inspired millennials, they're like, look, I'm trying to do $1 million a month. And I love ambition, and it's like, it's attractive, and that's why it's easier to reach back and work with a lot of them. And so what do you say to that middle-aged individual who, as far as helping them change that mindset, is it too late? What can be done to even help them change that mindset? Because I know we have a core demographic of people who are over the age of 35. Like, what would you say to someone like that?
I would tell them basically, again, man, you got to get in environments where people are doing what you're trying to do. Because the thing is that we are motivated and inspired through stories of our own liking. So when you hear other people and get in environments and say, well, shit, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to step out there. You know, I'm 37 years old. I'm 40 years old. But then I took that chance and I won. So you hear that from one person. Then you in that same environment, a different environment around like mine, and you hear it again. At that point, it start becoming real to you. But if you ain't in those environments,
you'll never
and
know.
you seeing young people start to progress, now you start psyching yourself out and saying, well, no, I'm too old now to try to get it and start now. And so I'm gonna just really just get me a job. And you didn't put all your dreams on hold, you didn't put all your successes on hold. So I tell them, you gotta basically get around people that's doing what you're trying to do. You gotta be intentional.
Extremely.
About it. You gotta be intentional. When you say it, don't just say this shit to me because that's what you think I want to hear.
But I'm sure people do that all the time.
All the time. Like, you know, because they think that's what you want to hear. I'm like, but you got to be intentional. You got to put the work in, like, for real. You got to sacrifice and give up some things. And this is what I tell people as it's older, because you basically have more commitments. That means you got to have more sacrifices. Because you have a home, or you have a car, you have a child, you have responsibility. So you got to be a little bit more meticulous in how you move. At a young person, they don't have responsibility, so I can go all in. If I lose it, I can start over. Ain't nobody depending on me. So that means you got to be a little bit more diligent. You got to be a little bit more committed, because you got things that you're feeding. You know, and so I tell you, basically, unless you really, really ready to make a commitment, and you really to dive all in and give up some things, then you might as well go back to work. And I'll be 100% blunt with you, because this is what it's going to take, especially as you get older, because you don't have as many years, because it takes time for this to manifest.
And you set in your ways.
You
want to drive the nice car. You want to live in a 4-5 bedroom house. You want to, and to say, you may have to sell all this shit if you really want to go all in. But that sometimes has to be the sacrifice.
That's the sacrifice. You got to downsize. You got to go from that big house to maybe a 1-bedroom condo. You know, to save $800 a month. But you take that $800 and you put that into investment, or that's how you start your business. You do that for 10 months. You know, you got $8,000. Now you can go buy that piece of equipment if you want to start a printing company. You know, that's the sacrifices that you truly have to make. And this is why young people are so attracted to me now, because it's easier to program than it is to reprogram.
Very true.
And so you ain't really reprogramming adults, because we basically know what fear is. You know, it's the same with a kid. This is why you teach a kid to swim when they're a baby, because they don't know the concept of drowning. The moment you learn the concept of you might drown, you out.
It's a wrap.
You know, and so this is why, you know, I love my young people. But even if you're not no more, you know, because you can't go back, but you still need to live a life. 37, 35 is not really old. You got time, but you got to go all in, and you got to sacrifice. And you can't be trying to live the lifestyle of somebody that have it already when you trying to get it.
That's the part that messes people up. Like, always say that social media, when used the right way, can make you a lot of money. But social media used to help you to escape, which is what a lot of people do, seeking validation. So when you're going online and you're scrolling and you're looking at all of this manufactured content that other people have, now you feel like, okay, I gotta live like that. How does this person get to do this? I make more money than them, not knowing that's a manufactured moment that person created. So now you started your business, you made a couple dollars, and now you want to live like that. And that's what's really hurting a lot of people.
Social media is the gift and the curse.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the gift and the curse. Really and like I said, and it's good in the sense of, like you say, if you use it right, it can be phenomenal.
Definitely.
You know, and I was blessed, I guess, to never keep up with the Joneses. You know, and I always say probably because I was the Joneses. You know. And so I never really cared to keep up with nobody else. And I remember one of my partners telling me, we were talking about this, and we was going to the old neighborhood in the park. We was going to the park, I think it was around Thanksgiving. We had what we call a turkey bowl. And we was talking about this, and he was like, well, B, he said, them niggas ain't gonna respect you. He said, like, you got 3 locations. He said, but you still driving I had a Ford Explorer, and I had 3 locations at the time. So I was doing pretty well, but it was like I really wasn't pressed to, because even if I'd have got a Benz the way I wanted to get a Benz, I probably wasn't there yet.
Right.
But I wasn't gonna go out and get that just to impress people. And so I'm gonna ride this until I'm right. You know, and he was like, yeah, he said they're gonna see you pull up in this and they ain't gonna think you this and that. And I said, bro, that ain't my issue, what they think. I said, people gonna talk about me while I'm sitting on the beach. Oh, he hurt. You see what he driving? You know, when I got I'm unbothered, no bills, no nothing. You know, but most people can't do that. Most people, if you got 3 locations and in that position, you feel like, all right, I gotta be driving this for people to think that I'm really doing it. You know, and I think that was one of the things that really saved me from getting caught up in that I just wasn't, because I always felt like, man, look, I'm the impressor. You know, I'm the impressor, so I don't really have to. But most people don't have that, and we get caught up in that thinking. Because even when my business started manifesting, people used to always ask, because I started my business in my house, and my clients used to come to the house all the time. And so as I moved out and got multiple locations and stuff, everybody was like, "Oh, I know y'all got that big mansion now," and I said, "Why?" Oh, because man, y'all killing the game, and you doing this, and y'all still in that house and in the basement, and you got the tax office. I said, yeah. Man, I thought y'all be it. I said, why? I said, it's only 3 of us. I said, my daughter gonna be going to college soon. I said, I got a den, a rec room, and a home office that I don't use at all. Why would I go buy a bigger house? And they look at crazy like, well, yeah, you know, you put it like that, you know. But the thing is that I never, you know, and that's part of the blessing why I was able to probably maneuver faster than a lot of people. But that's the sacrifices that we got to make. We got to get away from giving a damn what people think.
That's so true. And one of my early mentors taught me that a long time ago, and he was like, "We'll never buy into the hype." You know what I'm saying? And he taught me this in 2003. And even like you said, when my business started manifesting of me hitting a certain goal financially, I didn't spend any money for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like you said, people assume I should have been driving this or driving that. And even now, I still have my original home I bought, 10 years ago. Yeah. And I mean, it's paid off. Like, why would I go and create another? I'd rather take that money and go buy investment. You know what I'm saying? And so, because like you say, it's not a lot of people in my household. I built a movie room in there over the past summer. So it's like you said, but these are the things that I think where you and I have to continue to be extremely blunt with people and say, every dollar you take out of your business, you're causing yourself 10 on the multiplier if you decide to ever sell or exit your company. But these are the things nobody's teaching people.
Yeah, and they not telling people, because everybody's falling victim to where you should be based on what you have.
Fake it till you make it mentality.
And I see it all the time. Like, bruh, even with my latest vehicle I bought an SUV. It was a Jeep Cherokee. Okay. And I remember telling one of my mentees, I said, next time I get a car though, I said, I'm not buying no more luxury car. And he was like, oh, well, when you pull up, they're gonna be like, oh, Brian, it fell off. He just. I said, bro, I don't give a damn what they think. I said, because I know where I'm at. I said, they're going to say that about me if I buy something good or bad. I said, the thing is, I say, I've learned now. I say, my thing is, and I used to tell them even before I got the building, I said, man, I say, what I know now, I say, I've invested over $100,000, bro. No lie, fact check, in down payments for cars. My first car that I bought, bro, I put $32,000 down. The second one I bought, I put $28,000. My ex-wife car, I put $25,000 down. I pretty much bought my truck out, my daughter's car. And so I'm like, bro, when I look back at this, like, bro, and this is what I say. I said, man, I didn't gave away a building.
Real talk.
On some depreciating things. And so that was my mindset. And I'm like, and I tell people, I say, well, you make that sacrifice now and don't get the luxury car, you basically gonna create streams that's gonna buy your luxury car.
Real talk, outright.
You know, and so that was the mindset, and this is what I tell people, but most people can't feed into that, because if I'm at a certain success level, but I'm driving a Jeep Cherokee, because I call it my travel truck. I say, this is what I'm gonna go and hit 2-hour places to Savannah and Hilton Head. I'm like, I'm lounging now. You know, but you gonna talk about me because, oh, well, why he don't have no Benz truck? Because I'd rather put that in a building. I'd rather put that in rental property.
Right.
You know, and so this is the mentality that we have to have. But most people can't basically overcome the pressures of society.
Mm.
And really, we always say we don't give a damn what people think.
Most people do.
Most people do. Most people do. And so that's why I say most people ain't real.
Right.
You know, when you talk about being real, and so if you really real with yourself, then you ain't gonna care about what they think. You ain't gonna care about the big house. You ain't gonna care about if they saying you live in a you live in a 1-bedroom apartment, but I'm saving $1,200 a month.
And debt free.
And debt free, you know. And so we gotta get away from the pressures of society,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So now, and I definitely love that dialogue. And so somebody may be watching this and they be like, man, he's always had it together though. Like, what adversities did you face early on as an entrepreneur?
So basically, come on, after I got shot, after incarceration, all of that. So basically, I ain't always say I had it together.
Right.
Because again, I felt my nickname again in high school was Polo Jupe. I was polo from head to toe.
Right.
So I ain't gonna never say that I never got caught up in that, because again, I was into fashion. I had all the Jordans, I had all the Adidas forums, I had all of those things coming up. But the difference was it wasn't by any means necessary. That was the thing. It wasn't by any means necessary. And so we got to understand we don't have to have these things by any means necessary. So I didn't always have it together. I think I kind of learned, and this is what I tell young parents now, like modeling, man. Modeling is so important as a parent, because your parents, like, when I found out, man, when I really found out what my mom and my stepdad made, bro, I was blown away. I was blown away because I had made more in 1 month than their W-2s combined. And so, but the thing about it is I got so much great information from my mama from watching her.
Right.
Pay her bills on time, never be late. And so that modeling is so important. So I did have it somewhat together just because I never learned a lot of bad behaviors, in that essence. So, I always tell people, yeah, you have it together more than you want to if you're willing to make the sacrifice.
Right.
If you don't succumb to the pressure, you're going to have those particular situations where you're going to have it together, because the only reason we don't have it together is because we basically want to do more than we can.
Right.
We spend more than we have to try to impress people that don't like us and we don't like.
So with all that being said, Brian, like, what were some of the early things or just some of the obstacles you had to overcome? I heard you briefly mention about being shot, going to prison. Were those lessons for you? Was it just part of the journey of coming up in New Orleans? Like, what was those obstacles, and how did it shape you?
Man, I always say, it was probably the most gratifying, fulfilling thing that ever really happened. When we talk about initially when I was younger and I got shot, I always say that's the biggest lesson. Like recently I post, my picture of incarceration when I got out, after 25 years. But the thing about it is, like, a lot of people don't even know about me being shot. But I always say that was the biggest lesson probably of anything. And the reason why, because it showed me that your life can end at any time. Bro, we got robbed, me and a few of my partners. We was walking to Popeyes. Like, at what day do you think you was going to get some chicken?
Wow.
And that could possibly be your last day. And so that kind of showed me that you got to live life every day. You got to live to the max, because you just don't know. And so I think that shaped me more than anything, that really made me appreciate life and then enjoy the moment. And then as incarceration, it was a beautiful thing, because I came from environments where I wasn't scared of none of that. So in fact, as quiet as kept, some people know at 27 I thought I might be dead. But then even going through that really gave me an awakening. It kind of slowed me down. But the beautiful thing about it is, that's why I say if your mindset is right, you're gonna make the best of every situation. And this is why I say I've never had a bad situation in life, because what society deems as bad basically can be an awakening. Right. This is where I learned taxes. So it took me for that situation to slow me down, to put me in that position to now learn the craft that has made me $1 million and created freedom for me. And so my thing is that I went in there and I said, you know what, I'm a basically do this time. I'm not gonna let this time do me.
Right. Right.
And even though it wasn't a exuberant amount of time, it was just the right amount of time.
Right.
I would say it was just the right amount for me to learn what I learned, meet who I needed to meet, and get out and come back and manifest it.
So you learned about tax industry or do tax while incarcerated?
Yeah, I learned how to do taxes from like A to Z. Like this is you
Wow.
put this number here because the thing was I've always been an entrepreneur. So
Okay.
I went in at 26.
Okay.
And I had two businesses. I had a courier business and I had a janitorial business.
Okay.
And so my partner that I had, it came to the extent that he didn't do something I had asked him to do. So when he sent me my tax papers, I looked it over and I realized he didn't do it. So I'd ask somebody about people, do they know anybody in here? So the first cat kind of turned me down. He was like, I guess he didn't want to be in there messing with nobody with that. And so, but the second cat they turned me on to, he was looking it over. He was like, yeah, you could have did this, man. They could have did that. And I was like, that's what I thought. And so he seen like how intrigued I was and interested. He's like, you want to learn this, man?
Oh, wow.
I said, yeah, because it was a perfect situation for me because I love teaching. I love learning just as much though. Taxes is a continuous learning process.
Always.
It's always changing. I always was a numbers dude. I was always that dude would try to do a math problem in my head faster than you could do it on the calculator. And then what I found after talking with him was it wasn't a situation where you work all year round. And realistically, even though I didn't mind working hard, I always believed in quality of life, that you got to enjoy life.
Gotcha.
So when he kind of told me this concept behind it, man, he was like, B, he said, you learn this game, bro, you're going to be a god to people. He said, because if you get people money back, people going to praise you. And I was like, damn, this is intriguing.
Right.
So I learned every day, man. I'd have my ex-wife send me forms and we would sit down and practice. I would go to the library, learn, get in books, boom, boom, right. I'm practicing. I'm doing everything I can do to learn. How many books I can get. They talking about me. I go to the weight pile. They be like, oh, here come Brian with that Jane Fonda workout. I'm like, bro, I ain't trying to do 2 hours on the weight pile.
Right.
I got my books with me on the weight pile, going to the library. I'm doing 45 minutes. I'm going to study.
Right.
I'm going to learn. And so in that sense, man, I came out basically with a passion and a purpose. And this is where we get lost in the system when people who go through the system, the reason why they come out and you find that most people are repeat offenders because they basically find no purpose and no passion. Prison is not about rehabilitation at all.
Care less.
It's not. And now it's become even more of a business. And so my thing is like, I'm going to come out of this on the right side because I know the challenges that you have when you come out.
Right.
I know how my mom them felt about the situation. So my thing is that, man, I'm going to let them see that this wasn't done in vain.
Right.
And so I came out, man, on the mission, like, all right, you know what? I'm about to take over this. And then the thing is, if you don't come out of prison or either adverse situations with a chip on your shoulder, you ain't built right.
That's very true.
If anybody try to stop your progress, people think it's bad to basically have chips on your shoulder.
No, that's what
you
drives
need
you.
that.
That's what drives
if you talk to any, like Tom Brady, he had a chip on his shoulder because he was basically picked in the 6th, 7th round. Aaron Rodgers felt like he wasn't drafted where he was drafted. When you get players that don't get the accolades that they think they should have, they're going to work harder. They're going to have more drive. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. And most people ain't going to say it out loud, but I'm going to shit on the world.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality you got to have. And I think it did that for me. Like, I'm about to come out. Like, I remember when I was on probation and we were trying to go to London and they wouldn't let me go to London at the time. Bruh, I took that personal, like, I'm a grown ass man and somebody telling me where I can't go. So I'm like, you know what? I'm about to take this and take it to a whole nother level to where y'all will never be able to tell me where I can't go. I won't have limitations on what I do. And so you got to have that to be successful in business. If you don't have that dog in you, and this is what I say we've lost as Black men. We've lost that dog. We don't have that dog, and it's like, I'm gonna make this work by any means necessary. If I got to work 24 hours a day for 5 days, I'm gonna make this work. And that's what you have to be successful. So it gave me that edge. I think I was a hustler for a long time, even when I got in the tax business, even when I started doing well. But when I transitioned to a businessman, with that same drive, with that chip on my shoulder, I was
unstoppable.
unstoppable. I was unstoppable.
So how far after your release before it took you to get your first office?
Well, I started office in my very first office was in the bedroom.
Okay.
We transitioned out in the bedroom, and I think we did the bedroom for maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And then I built the office on the back of my house. And I stayed in there probably for about 5 years. And then I think actually in the 5th year, I got the second office.
Okay.
Actually was a physical office. And then 2 years after that, I got the third office. And so that's when it really just started going. And my mindset was, shit, if H&R Block can have offices around the country, Jackson Hewitt, what makes me different? Why I can't? The only thing that stops us from most people with getting to that level is that our mindset. We don't think we can do it. We think this, because they this and they. It's just because we don't think to those levels.
We limit our imagination.
Our imagination is not that big, and my thing is why not? But then I transform my thinking. I say, you know what? Everybody's basically doing this basic. I want to become the Tiffany's of taxes. Tiffany's basically is known for its quality, but a Tiffany's not in every city.
At all.
It's not in every city, but the thing is they extremely successful. They don't have to advertise. They don't have to go find clients. Clients find them. And so I kind of took on that persona, like, no, I'm not going to be cheap. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to be cheap. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to be the person down the street. I'm going to give you a hell of a service to where when you come in, you already know what you're getting. And so I went from that trying to get every 50 state to say, you know what? If I did 10, because the highest I got to was 11 locations at one time, and then I started basically understanding technology. And so in Atlanta, I had 4. I had 4 in Atlanta, so I merged all of them to one, which basically now people started kind of getting into technology, understood it a little better, but we manifest that concept, man, and just use that one and leverage technology. And I just say, I'm going to be great at what I do. I don't have to be everywhere because the thing is, I'm going to keep everybody because of the value that we're going to sell. And you can make way more money. And this is one of the biggest lessons I've learned, bro. When I was at a conference and this guy of another persuasion said, if ain't nobody complaining about your prices, you ain't charging enough. When I heard him say that, at that point, that was a game changer.
So then what do you say to people who are like, because I get this a lot too, and I know, we share a demographic of an audience. Man, come on, B, you're supposed to be helping us out. You're a black business.
I'm giving you game that ain't nobody else gonna give you. I'm giving you game that, because you ain't gonna be able to sit down with no white boy, no Asian, no Indian, and give you the game that I'm giving you. So I am helping you out. I am helping you out. I'm basically, the amount of information I'm giving you from what I'm charging you, I'm basically cheating myself to see you progress. And this is what I'm gonna tell you. And so we gotta understand that, because the thing is that it's not that I'm high, your money low. You may not be ready for me. That's
we
it.
Need to put that on the T-shirt. My prices ain't high, your money low.
Yeah, you ain't ready for me. And I'll say this all the time. We are Tiffany's of practice. You basically are Zales or K Jeweler, and that's okay. There's a market for everybody. You just not ready to shop with me yet. You just not ready to shop with me, and it may be okay, because the thing is, my shoppers have businesses. My shoppers have rental properties. My shoppers have homes. So you may need K Jewelers or Zales because you just got a W-2, and there's nothing wrong with them. But you just not there, because I can't sell you on value. See, because what you're paying me for is value.
I preach that all the time.
You're paying me for value, but I can't sell you value because the position where you at right now, you cut and dry. When you start making some moves, then I'm gonna show you how to make those moves a lot easier and better. Then now that's where I become a value to you. And so that's basically what I'm 100%. And the thing is, if you can't respect that, so be it. So be it. And if you truly is on your game, like you say, you're gonna say, bro, you know what? That was some real shit. Ain't nobody really broke it down. And I get that. And my thing is, I'm not on sugarcoat, because we get enough of that already. We get enough praises from people that are false. We get enough praises from people on low targets. Like, bro, realistically, yeah, I got my LLC. All right, that's the first step.
Yeah.
Okay, now what? I'm glad you did. Like that
Yeah.
is a million
We
people
can't
just
we
getting.
can't just applaud the LLC.
Yeah, you can't
I
just
agree.
celebrate that for long. All right, that's a small victory.
Yeah.
Move on,
Yeah.
because you got it. That's it. What you gonna do with it? What action you gonna put behind it?
Right.
And people think I'm hard on people about that. No, I'm not shitting on you for doing that. I'm saying you got a small victory. You got your LLC, but it's a million people got the LLC and ain't do nothing else afterwards. So we can't be on social media saying and you getting caught up in that, or you doing the damn thing. That's what's up. Congratulations, you killing the game. No, not if you're doing what 10 million other people are doing. And so my thing is that what are you doing to separate yourself to achieve the goals that you set? Because if you just said my goal was just to get the LLC, then all right, you achieve your goal.
Right.
That's it. But if you say, man, I want to be successful in my business, I want to grow it. Okay, then all right, you got the LLC. Now what?
Now what?
And people don't like to be challenged like that.
No, that is true because, like you say, we're so used to being coddled.
Yeah.
But then here's the other part too, B. Like most people in their everyday walks of life, they really are at the bottom of the totem pole. Think about that. Where are we at most of the day? At work. Usually most people at work got to answer to 3 to 4 different people. And so it's hard sometimes for them to fathom that, oh, now I am the boss. This is my LLC. This is my company. So that's why sometimes just getting that LLC is the feat. But like you say, it takes people like yourself and myself and other individuals to be like, that's just the starting point. I have a good friend who's an NBA agent, and he tell his players, once you get drafted, that's the start. Because now you got to stay in the league.
Yeah.
The average life expectancy is 3 years. So don't spend your rookie money yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's reminiscent of that. And so, as we're wrapping up, Brian, and I know one of the things that, I've always appreciated about you, man, is that, you're always giving game and you're really teaching people and you genuinely want to see people win. And it's not one of those things where you're trying to save everybody. It's like, look, here's the information. Whoever wants it, it's available. And I know you do your Tuesday lives and you're really doing a lot of that. And so for those who, and I know everybody understands taxes are important, but when it comes to creating wealth and dealing in financial literacy, and you and I both echo about credit and taxes being hand in hand, why are those two things so important to assisting in creating wealth?
Because one of the reasons, bro, like I always say, taxes is the one thing we deal with every single day. If you work a job, every penny you make for every hour, every minute you make is being taxed. You go pump gas, you're paying a tax on gas. You buy a house, you have to pay tax. You go to the grocery store, you have to pay tax. You have a business, you have to pay tax. This is the one thing other than your children that you probably deal with every single day. And it's the least focused on thing. So the thing is, how can we control something that we're not aware of that's taking 40 to 50% of our money? So now how can you really build wealth if you're doing 100% of the work and you're bringing home 50% of the money? That means now you got to do 200% of the work to almost bring home 100% of your money. To do 200% is unrealistic. So nobody will ever build wealth because working the job and not understanding how to keep more of your tax money. So the thing is now, if I'm struggling because my ends not meeting, because they taking 50% of our money. If I learn taxes and understand the benefits of taxes, and I now keep 80% of my money, that 30% extra that I was keeping, I can take that and invest.
The vehicle that's
I can invest. Wealthy people, when we talk about building wealth, I always say, when we always talk about leaving generational wealth, we don't have a clue what that really means, bro. Like generational wealth. You know how much money that is?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That means my daughter's daughter gonna have that same money, and ain't nobody if you tried to spend it, you couldn't. You couldn't. And so that's a lot. But the thing is, you ain't even leaving a savings for your child. So how you gonna create generational wealth? So this is why this is so important, because if I got an extra 30% of my money, I can put that into a vehicle that's gonna grow for me. And so now I can leave something to my daughter, the next generation. And see, now we in the game because now she don't have to have a start where she's 5 years behind every other community. Because now what happens is my mama got it out the mud. I got it out the mud. My daughter don't need to get it out the mud.
Why do we even want to continue that cycle?
Yeah.
Like that's what I try
exactly.
to tell people.
And this is what I say on my live pretty much all the time. I say, if you say, well, my parents ain't teach me about credit and taxes and finances and all that. I say, if you say that about your parent and your child say it about you, you're a bad parent. You're a bad parent because even if you don't know it, it's enough stuff out here for your child to learn. Or your child can say, or you go to your child and say, I need you to watch these videos on Will to learn about credit. I need you to watch these videos on about Brian to learn about taxes. You have avenues, and so we should not have this as a continuous problem. We should give our children a chance because again, you ain't catching nobody with a 5-year head start. So you ain't building no wealth because when these other communities, when the white community, the Asian community, Hispanic community, the Indian community, all these children now, they got these funds to where when they graduate from high school, they getting $100,000 toward college
or the business
or home ownership. So they starting out the gate basically already ahead of the game. So now it take you 5 years, if that, to build up your business. Even though your business is good place in 5 years. But if somebody got a 5-year head start on me, I can't compete with that. And this is what we're doing. This is why we're losing. And a lot of it starts with taxes. Because when people tell me they don't have money to invest, I say, yes, you do. It's in your taxes. If you have a regular job and somebody's taking 40 to 50% and you haven't explored how you can keep more of that money, then you're losing.
This game, y'all.
You're losing.
Because,
go
ahead, I'll let you finish.
No, I want to say because now, student loan is an issue, which now our kids ain't going to college as much no more. But because y'all basically 30 years out of college still paying basically student loan, you should no way have your child paying student loan when you seeing what it's doing to cripple your finances.
But then we still push that narrative.
It's still like, basically, that's crazy, man.
So what are like 3 to 5 things that can help somebody right now who's watching this from the tax game? And I know you talk a lot about even just, following an election for people who have an LLC. So what are just like 5 quick strategies, 3 to 5 that you could share with people that can help somebody today, right now?
The number one thing, the number one loophole that's been here for years, bro, is start a business. Start a business.
So true.
And see what we always say is, I don't have no time for no business. I don't know what to do. And sometimes I tell people what other communities understand is that they don't always start businesses just to make a whole lot of money. They start businesses to save money sometimes. Because I'm using my car every day. I'm using my cell phone every day. I'm using my computer every day. I'm using my laptop every day. I'm bragging on my home office, but I don't have a business. None of those things are tax deductible now. You just let money fly out the window. If I have a business, all that becomes tax deductible. Now I can keep more of my money. So that would be the first thing. Secondly, learn how to play. If you're a W-2 employee, learn how to play this game with this W-4. How to learn how to get more of your money throughout the year. Learn how that works so I can get more money. Stop worrying about these big refunds. Because all you're doing is getting a part of your own money back, which the IRS basically making millions of dollars of interest off of your money, and they're giving you a portion of it at the end of the year. Well, if I get more of my money, I ain't put it into an interest-bearing account. I'm making money off my own money now.
Right off the rip.
And so we got to change our thinking when it comes to that. And that third thing is we got to learn this LLC election game. Robert Kiyosaki, everybody talk about they read Rich Dad Poor Dad. He put a whole chapter on here about corporations as a tax loophole, and everybody bypassed it. It's the biggest legal loophole that's been around, understanding how to take your S corp or take your LLC to get taxed as an S corporation so you don't pay the double taxes. It's the biggest leverage builder that's out there in taxes. And we learn about it because you're pushing it, you're telling people, I'm telling people, you're sending your people to tell people, and to me to tell people. So, people are getting it, but as a whole, we still learning that game.
Right.
And the sooner we can learn those three things, man, the sooner we can level this playing field. Because the thing is that you ain't beating nobody with a 5-year head start. You know?
And we just gonna continue to push the narrative, do what we do.
Yeah.
And I get excited. I love to educate. I know you do. And we just gonna continue to travel the world and keep preaching this narrative.
That's all we can do, bro. You know and my thing is that, and we got to give it. Like when you say, well, man, if I knew this when I was 25, you know, I'm not 25 no more, but what I could do is I could give it to a 25-year-old. I can just think if I give a 25-year-old 50 years of the knowledge and experience I have at 25, at 30, this is what I tell them. I tell them at 30, you're a beast, because anything that you master in 5 years, if you continuously do it in 5 years, you can master that. You know, and just think at 30, man, you know, and this is what we have to do. We got to stop holding it, because I'm going to eat regardless. I've been telling people I ate all my life. I'm going to eat regardless. It ain't going to hurt for nothing. You know, and that's what I love about you, man. You give self. You're going to feed other people. You're going to send them business. You're going to get them information. And you ain't thinking about nothing that you losing, because you ain't losing nothing. All you're doing is manifesting your greatness. Definitely. You know, we always talk about we want to give back. You'll give back to the Salvation Army and Goodwill, but you ain't going to give back to your people. You're going to give back to a whole bunch of people you don't know. And they say, well, this is what people that's struggling and homeless. You think them people ain't struggling? With lack of knowledge, we perish.
Yeah.
So we got to get this information, man. We got to get it out. So I applaud you, bro, for putting people in position to where they can get it out, because you're going to do it regardless. But what you're doing is you're building an army, because you basically can't get it by yourself. You know, and it's going to be slow. It's a slow road, because everybody ain't going to get it. Everybody ain't going to be a giver. You know, and so if you really as good as you are and you say you are, you can still eat and don't take nothing from nobody else, and nobody else is going to take nothing from you. I'm secure in my people. I take tax people, and I forget that I'm in the tax industry. I talk to them and give them so much game in the tax industry, because the thing is that if I know that I'm great at what I do, if my people leaving,
it's gonna come back.
It's something wrong. First of all, you can't take my people, because my people know that I'm solid. If I make you believe that you can't go nowhere else and get nothing better than what I'm giving you, you ain't going. And that's what people ain't doing, and that's called value.
Definitely. So as we wrap up, I want to ask you one last question, B. What's that one thing that you wish you would have known back then, that you can look back at the 26, the 21-year-old Brian? What's that one?
If I had to say one thing, it would be investing early. Investing early. When I see these charts about if you invest at 25, by 53, you'll have $1.8 million saved, and you know, and so I think that would be the one thing, if I knew then, to invest like in my 20s, early 20s, man. You know, the importance of how that compound interest grows, and the interest, and you know, because the thing is, you never see 50 when you're 20. You ain't thinking you're gonna you ain't thinking you're gonna be there, but eventually you're gonna be there if you live long enough. But you know, just not seeing that and not being aware of it. And that would probably be the one thing that I would do different.
Well, y'all heard the man. He said invest. And sometimes that first investment is investing in yourself first.
Yes.
And so with that being said, I appreciate Brian being on the show, flew in, caught multiple flights, did all this stuff to make sure he was here. So please make sure y'all go support my brother, man, because whether y'all do or don't, he gonna eat regardless. I'm gonna use that.
And I say it all the time. I'm gonna eat regardless. I always did. I always will. And there's gonna be some people, you know. And so, man, if they want to tune in, though, y'all can follow me on Instagram at richboy, RICHBOIJUP1. And that's the thing. People think the Rich Boy is about my lifestyle, but it's about my passion. At RICHBOI, really interested in caring how businesses operate internally. Because I love this, man. I love seeing, you know, people manifest on the information I can give.
Definitely. So, just like that, man. So y'all got an opportunity to tune in to another episode of the Full-Time CEO Podcast, the shit they don't tell you, where we're going to talk to you about all of the dope things that my guests are bringing, not only just about their life, about their journey, their struggle, but also their successes. So what I need you to do is like, share, comment this podcast episode here today. And as always, I will see you at the top. Peace.